Start with, yeah, you took some of my stuff. But I do want to start with how many folks in this room work for a company that actually shares their product roadmap externally? So what I'm going to talk to you about today is why I think every hand in this room should be up, and why the product marketer should be helping drive sharing and distributing that product roadmap across your customers and your prospects. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Lindsay Boyajian. I'm the Director of Product Marketing at Conductor. Conductor's an SEO and content software and services platform. We work with everyone from Citi to WeWork to Sotheby's to make sure that their content's actually found on Google. So I'm coming at it of a lens through B2B software company. So that's an important thing to know as I'm kind of going through today's presentation. So let's level set really quick. What is a product roadmap? Well, a product roadmap is really a visualization of what's going on in your product, what's coming next, what's coming in the short term, what's coming in the long term. And it's really a visual communication and a method to communicate to your org, to the R&D team of, hey, what's coming next? What are we expecting? What's the order of operations that's coming out of our R&D team? And so if you go to Google and you Google what is a product roadmap, you get a lot of things that look like this. And this is typically what they can look like. You can create a product roadmap. If you're a small team, it can be managed in an Excel. If you're a big team, you want some software to help you with that. I think the one I clicked here is AHA. That's a good one. Product plan, another good one. Airtable. There's a lot of different options out there for creating that roadmap. But really, for your internal teams, it's important because it does help keep folks aligned. It does help communicate and keep your product managers aligned and really excited and all kind of working and marching towards that same thing. But there's also a lot of opportunity to turn that internal artifact external. And so why should you start thinking about making that an external artifact? Well, first, it helps improve your customer relationships. As you're sharing insight into where your product's going over the next quarter, over the next year, that builds trust and helps really strengthen that relationship with your customer. It helps them ensure that they know you're the company that's going to be not only the solution they need today, but the solution they need in a year when they have maybe a different set of problems. And you'll be kind of marching in the direction that they need. At the same time, showing someone your product roadmap, especially a customer that's maybe used your product for a few years, that's a great opportunity to get feedback. The roadmap's something that's living, it's breathing, it's really dynamic. So if you can get feedback from customers, that's a great way to maybe shift around some priorities. Let's put some more development resources towards feature X that we weren't going to roll out until Q3. It's a great way then also for your customers to feel really bought in, that they're having input actually on shaping the future vision of your company. All of a sudden, when they see that feature come out in 2 quarters, they're going to be like, oh, I talked to them about that. And that's a really good opportunity. And it's similar when you run a beta. Folks feel really kind of excited and they're happy to give back, and it helps strengthen that relationship. Now let's talk about new business, because that's just as important. I can't tell you how many deals I've seen, competitive deals, close in that final step because you're able to bring the roadmap to the conversation. You're asking a lot of times your prospects to sign a 2, 3, 4-year contract with you. They want to know that you're going to be innovating in 2, 3, 4 years, and that you're thinking about and you have a vision around where the product's going to be. And that's a great way to do that. It's a great competitive differentiator. It shows that you are innovating and you're thinking about things differently, and you're the pace of innovation which they can expect when they're partnering with you. It's also a great way to kind of tease a carrot, a beta carrot. Hey, if you guys sign up, let's get you in here for a beta. You can be in this, you think this feature is cool? You'll be in that first group of beta testers for it. And that can be really exciting for folks as well. And then lastly, internally, it creates a lot of transparency and alignment. There's one thing about having an internal roadmap, which does help create transparency and alignment. But when it's external, there's a lot more accountability to your R&D teams, to the product team, the folks that are actually building these features and functionality. And there's a lot more communication between your sales, your customer success, and your product teams, because all of a sudden your sales team has a lot more skin in the game with the roadmap. They're interested in it. They're curious. They're going to be going to the product managers and pinging them and asking them questions and being more involved. So it does help create alignment. And if things slip on the roadmap, the product managers have to talk about why those things did slip. Why was something deprioritized? And it really just helps create a lot of transparency across the organization. And a lot of times that's an area that needs that transparency and helps build internal confidence. And so what's product marketing's actual role in that roadmap? Well, first, a lot of times, and quick plug here, I co-organize with the New York City Product Marketing Meetup Group. So I talk to a lot of product marketers. Our next meetup is on April 2nd. We'll plug it at the end, don't worry. So I talk to a lot of folks, and very often I hear, oh no, we don't touch the roadmap as a product marketer. And that's so interesting to me, that a product team will create this roadmap in a silo and then just kind of deliver it at the company's door, the product marketer's footsteps, and say, okay, here. Yeah. But there's so much value that can be unlocked, and there's a huge opportunity if we can bring, as you in this room, as product marketers are in that conversation from the beginning. And so why is that? And so Jim talked about this a little in his presentation, but really the product marketer is that linchpin between so many different departments in the organization. Think about your schedule yesterday. You probably had a sales meeting in the morning, then maybe you hopped on a quick customer call, then maybe you're working on a go-to-market strategy with the product team, and then in the afternoon you were working with the growth team on a project. So you're touching almost every part of the business on a daily basis. Almost no other department can really say that. Maybe IT, because they're helping people fix things. But product marketing is so unique in that way, and what that means is that you have really unique insights to bring to the table. You have a really unique perspective. Yes, you could have the head of sales in the product in the roadmap conversation, but he's looking at it through such a small lens. You have this really wide lens that you can bring into the conversation in a really unique perspective. So what I would recommend for any product marketer in this room is you should be in those roadmap conversations from the get-go. As the PMs are coming together, and whatever your PM's kind of planning process is, just to have a seat at that table to start informing and helping inform the process. You can be a really strong voice for the customer. That is what a product marketer is. We are the voice of the customer across the organization. And in that roadmap meeting, you're the voice of the customer there. You're the one that can say, hey, I've listened to all of these customer calls over the last 2 quarters, and you know what, that feature that you're deprioritizing, no, there's huge business value there for that. And yes, your PMs will have their data, they'll have everything they need, but there's also that qualitative bit that the product marketer can really provide and deliver in the conversation. And then shaping the narrative. So if I showed you a list of features, this says nothing to you. You don't know what this means, you don't know what the context is, you don't care. But what you want to do is you want to not just show a list of features. Your roadmap is really a narrative. It is a story. It should not only be the story of what your product vision is, but it's also the story of what's your company vision. They should all roll up together. And again, Jim was talking about we are storytellers. And so you should be in the conversation helping shape the narrative from the very beginning, because putting a list of features together doesn't help anyone. You need to make sure that it fits within the broader narrative of where the company's going, what you want to say to the market, why are you releasing all of these features? What's the competitive differentiation there that should really be highlighted in that conversation? And then lastly, maybe you get your roadmap, you have a narrative, you put your features and your functionality together. But if your sales team can't communicate the roadmap and they're just starting with what? And they're just kind of saying, yeah, we got this new toggle here, we got a button here, there's a new chart over here. That's no good for anyone. That doesn't do anyone any favors. It really no one cares about the what. You want them to lead with why. Every feature and functionality that is on that roadmap should really be a story about why. Why is this delivering value to your customer base? And then you get into the what. You're like, oh, why you need this because it's going to do X, Y, and Z to improve your workflow. Oh, and yeah, here's how you use it. But you have to get into the habit of leading with why. And there's no one else in the organization that can do that for the sales team and the sales organization than the product marketers. We're the ones that are going to come in and create those value prop statements for each of the features and functionality. We're the ones that are going to come in and give them the cheat sheets and train them. And oftentimes, and you want to make sure a lot of times that they're certified as well. You probably don't want your sales team kind of going around and just showing random features and functionality if they don't understand that bigger narrative that you work so hard to create. So you want to make sure that you're enabling and training the sales team. And I'll show you just an example here of an old slide of ours from a roadmap deck. And you'll see we build out the talk track for the sales team. Even if they're having a bad day, their talk track's there. They can just read. But what we do is we make sure we don't lead with the functionality. What we have there is we lead with the why. We lead with the value. Why are we building or introducing this feature? And then you get into below, you can see the functionality of, yeah, what does it actually do? Okay, yeah, it toggles or it's a trend chart. And then you have customer communication piece, which is so, so important. For brands that have a large amount of customers, you can't rely on your CS team to go one by one and kind of show the roadmap to folks. If you want the roadmap to be that tool in your arsenal that helps strengthen relationships with strengthens relationships with customers, you need to be able to tap onto your product marketing team, and as a product marketer, you need to be able to create kind of those channels and leverage the product roadmap so it gets to the most customers. Product marketers have a unique ability. We can create an event where we show our roadmap and we invite certain customers in. We can do a webinar. And this means that one, we're getting scale so we can show more customers our roadmap. And then two, we're also controlling the message. Because again, if you have one-off conversations, you don't really, you can lose that kind of quality control as well. So it's recommended that you as the product marketer can help control and help shape how this is actually delivered to your customer base. And that's a huge weapon. You want your customers excited about your roadmap. You want your customers bought into your innovation cycle. That's really, really, really exciting for them. And so with that, the product marketer and everyone in this room should be in the conversation when you're helping create the roadmap. You're going to bring really unique insights into the conversation and share a unique perspective that can help shape that roadmap. You're going to be the one that's helping to shape that narrative. We're the storytellers. We're the ones that can help connect that list of features that the product managers are really excited about to that bigger vision across the company and help shape that. And then we're the team that, we have a roadmap, it's in a really good place, it looks good, we love the value props. How are we getting sales excited about it? How are we making sure that sales is confident in the roadmap? How are we making sure that they're saying the right thing every single time? And that's where we come into play. And then lastly, again, the customers. So making sure our customers are seeing and hearing and feeling our roadmap, and they're bought in and feeling connected to it. Oh, nope, lost it. But as I pull this back up, we'll open it up for questions. But as I mentioned, I'm Lindsay Boyajian. I'm from Conductor. Please do follow me on Twitter and LinkedIn. And then also, as I mentioned, co-organizer of the New York Product Marketing Meetup. So do come to our next meetup on April 2nd. We have some great panelists from Amazon and Google talking about kind of that team structure. It's something that was talked about a little earlier. Every product marketing team has a different team structure. No two are the same. So we're bringing folks together to really talk about that and unpack, hey, what does your team look like? Oh, you do this, why? And really kind of have a good conversation around that. So you can find it on Meetup. So questions?
The back. Sorry, thanks. I managed to feel my way into I'm kind of curious with
in thinking about the roadmap and how you're training your sales teams to talk about it, I'm curious, there's often a tension, the roadmap may change.
Yes.
So how do you get them to talk about this in the right way with prospects so that they don't view it as a commitment as much as a vision?
Yes, so that's one of the trickiest pieces of the roadmap, because things are going to change. The roadmap is, like I said, a living and breathing artifact. It is subject to change. There will be sales escalations. There will be projects that take longer. There will be projects that you decide halfway through the quarter that just don't make sense, and they will not ever come to fruition. There is a lot of constant communication with the sales team, and when you're rolling this out, about what this is exactly and what the expectations are around it. So when we go into the sales meeting, or if we have a webinar for our broader global sales team, we're saying, hey guys, these are directionally where we're heading. Nothing on this roadmap is committed dates. These are what we'd like to deliver this quarter. There's a lot of caveats. Every slide has a little caveat at the bottom of it. And we kind of just repeat it over and over till folks get really trained on it. The first time you roll out a roadmap to your sales team, I guarantee people will be like, yep, this is all coming this quarter. This is what's happening. And someone, maybe a customer or a prospect, will get really upset when they don't see it. It's going to happen. But if you can try to get ahead of that as a product marketer and kind of just consistently reiterate that message, you'll be in a much more successful place. Yep, exactly. It's what you have to do with sales.
Thank you, Lindsay. In addition to the date commitment confusion, I've seen roadmap presentations go badly in a few different ways. One of them is when it turns into a debate or a discussion rather than information sharing. But can you share, in your experience, some of the ways you've seen it go wrong, or some of the failure modes in your strategies to avoid that?
Yeah, I think a lot of the times when I've seen it go wrong is maybe it's a customer success manager, they have their weekly call with the customer and they hop on and there's a whole agenda of things, and they kind of just say in the middle of it, it's an hour call, minute 23, they say, oh yeah, and we have a roadmap, we got some new things coming out, here's like a few of them, I think you might like this one, I'll let you know when it's in beta. And then they go to the next thing. And you're like, what? You didn't do any justice for the roadmap. The roadmap is such a tool for you in your arsenal for like that upsell conversation, for that bigger relationship building conversation. You didn't use it effectively. And so what we actually do is we use a system called Gong, which records our sales and customer calls, which is, as a product marketer, extremely helpful to have access to all those calls. Because at any time you can go in and listen to a call. It's really powerful in terms of what you can search and how you can filter those calls. So we have a whole call folder of roadmap calls. So I can always go in and listen and see how folks are presenting it, and we can course correct. So if I see that, hey, that customer success rep, and a lot of the customer success reps are kind of squeezing this into the call, we'll say on the next one, we'll say, hey guys, here's how we recommend you actually do your roadmap session. And we kind of give them a blueprint for how you should be talking about the introduction. We give them everything that they need and almost walk them through exactly what an hour call of the roadmap would look like.
I had a question here. What have you, in your experience, seen be the most effective approach tactically in terms of enablement and really building organic relationships with both customer success, customer support, and sales team? So beyond repetition and maybe forced participation in like training events, like what really sticks and like gets them engaged and excited in terms of like actual tactics?
Awesome. So 2 things come to mind really quick. 1, if you do not have support from sales leadership, you will not succeed, period. You need the sales leadership across your org to be bought in with you. They should be your best friends in the organization. I can't tell you how many times a day I meet with sales leadership just to talk about random product stuff. And because you have to have that good relationship with them, and when you do, they'll enforce anything you say. If you say, hey, I need your sales team to go to the moon tomorrow, then they're like, okay, yeah, you heard Lindsay, get to the moon. they will do that, but you need to have that trust, and that sales team, the sales leadership team needs to be confident in what you're delivering and the message, and that does come with over time. It won't happen overnight, but to really start to insert yourself into the conversations. I sit on sales leadership meetings every single week, just so, again, product marketing's voice is in the conversation there. And then like more tactically around kind of the sales team, we have a really incredible learning and development team, and we work really closely with them. And what we found with sales especially, they're super competitive. So what we do is a lot of times we do competitions. We'll break them up into teams. There's $1,000 at the end of the quarter for the team that does X, Y, or Z. The team that sends us the gong calls that are where they're using this resource. For the team that's using the resources the most. For the team that does X. So we call them sales challenges, and they love them because it taps into what innately a salesperson is, which is hyper competitive. We also do games, Jeopardy games, again, tapping into their kind of competitive nature any way you can. What we find doesn't work is when I'm sitting up here and just talking at them for an hour. Those fall really flat. And then kind of a third point on that is pre-work is so important with the sales team. So I rarely show up to a meeting and just start presenting to them. They've already had to do something before that meeting. They've either had to read something, watch a video that we've made. There's pre-work to even as a prerequisite to even step in the room, to even see the roadmap. Yeah.
I'm curious if you have any concerns sharing your roadmap really broadly on the competitive front, if your competitors are seeing that, if they're reacting to it, and if so, how you deal with those concerns.
Yeah, great question. And that's always a fear of the roadmap. And that's kind of the number one, I think, reason folks don't want to share externally. I'd say there's a couple things that if you're only sharing a quarterly roadmap, what's going to happen in a quarter? No one can develop software, especially, again, it depends on your industry, but for us, it's a long development cycle. So if our competitor sees a roadmap for this Q2, okay, sure. They'll see the features in 3 months anyway, so, and our sales cycle is really long. At the flip side of that, our sales team and our CS team, we strongly dissuade them from actually sending it out. We tell them, no, you cannot send this. Yeah, do sales team and the customer success team, do they send it? Yeah, I'm sure. But it's highly suggested that the only time you're showing the roadmap is when you're on the phone with the customer or the prospect. And it's also a great way to say, hey, I can't send this to you. I know you asked for it, but let's just hop on another call. So it actually is a good opportunity for the sales, or a good excuse for the sales team to get that kind of extra call in there that maybe they normally wouldn't get.
Thanks, Lindsay, for your time today. I'm curious, could you speak a little bit more to what happens after the roadmap is shared? So how do you collect potential customer feedback from these sales calls?
Yeah, so like I said, we use Gong. So every call that the roadmap is used in is tagged in a folder. So we go in and we use that to kind of monitor and see the roadmap. And then if there is feedback, what we do is we do ask the CS or the sales team to make sure that they're sending the feedback directly to the product team. So that's all correlated in there. And then one thing I didn't touch on really was one of the values about being involved in the roadmap really early as a product marketer is you're ahead of your next product release. So I know what my release is going to be at the end of the quarter because, oh yeah, I already built the roadmap for this quarter. I already built half the messaging because I made all the value statements that I needed already. So a lot of times throughout the quarter, we're constantly like checking in, validating kind of the feedback we're seeing. And then we can use a lot of times the quotes from kind of those initial calls for our feature releases at the end of the quarter because folks have seen it, they're excited, and they're ready to sign off. They're excited about the feature. So there's a lot of opportunity by having a roadmap to leverage it kind of later in the quarter for different go-to-market activities.
All right, one more.
Hi, Lindsay. I was curious about whether you can tell us at Conductor kind of how far do you encourage the team to build your product roadmap, and then how far out do you actually share with customers when you're advocating for it?
Yeah, great question. So what we share externally and what the sales and CS team is about a quarter and a half out. The product team obviously has a bigger map for the year of kind of where they're going and what they're doing. But in terms of what we're sharing, it's a quarter and a half out. Because every quarter there is a planning process that the product team goes through, things change, we all kind of know how that story goes. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone. Again, don't hesitate to reach out if you have any further questions. I'll be around. Thanks.